See things happening around you, but you can also see institutions not changing. You've got to take this on. It's not a question of what a politician will say. It's a question of what you feel is important for your institution in its national role. Portraits are unbelievably simple at one level because they're about people. And to have an art form devoted simply to people is quite extraordinary. It's been important to think about how do you make institutional change. Over the last 10 years, there have been a number of things that have changed about the collection. Partly it's been about trying to have more confidence in what the gallery does. Certainly been bolder about the commissions. We've tried to make some very bold, innovative commissions. And certainly thinking about the diversity of who do we acquire portraits of. This was a great acquisition in 2012 and was perhaps wonderful but also surprising because it's the first time the gallery has acquired a painting of a man dressed as a woman. He is a kind of heroic figure because he does stand up in that period and stands out as someone prepared to be different. I think acquiring the Chevalier D'Eon is a reflection of where the trustees of the National Portrait Gallery are now in terms of the breadth of their interests. But it's come out of quite considered thinking about what there is of a Britain that one wants to discover and rediscover, but also draw different people into that discovery and understanding. Mary Seacole's portrait in the Victorian rooms, the National Portrait Gallery, is crucial. You walk into those rooms and the corridor is lined with the white marble busts of Victorian men. Seacole, who's very different in terms of her background, in the forms of her achievement. This is a woman who matters a great deal in the Victorian period in terms of medical and the caring of soldiers in the Crimea. That can include the comparisons and differences with an extraordinary figure who was also, crucially, a great achiever in the Crimean War, that is Florence Nightingale. Although to anybody externally, I might have looked as though I was dedicatedly in art with a fairly capital A and I worked at the Tate. Actually, it's one of those things that you get released in taking up a new job, and coming to the Portrait Gallery certainly felt like that. It was a kind of release to then pursue this idea about people in new ways. I've been thinking a lot about some of the issues around culture and some of the political issues around that. For the National Portrait Gallery to reflect all of these islands will take a long time, and I don't know that it'll ever do it because, in a sense, it is a slice of, quote, contributing to British history and culture. Well, the question is what level? So it's not that it necessarily has to sort of say we're going to match person by person, group by group, orientation by orientation right across the population, but it should be matching the interests, maybe and sometimes the passions. Certainly it should be providing inspiration. For the National Portrait Gallery, what I think has been important to us over many years is to think about the sort of lines of connection between our community work and indeed in partnerships beyond London. What we're interested in is the creative input of all those who we know can give different kinds of inspiration. I think the notion of the creative case is certainly very positive in that it moves away from saying this is a kind of ought, this is a kind of both legal and representative duty. No, actually things are legal and are representative duties for national organisations. But I can see the point of trying to say, can we get the thinking to move to the creative side of things? Because then you get people wanting to do it and wanting to make change. Certainly with the National Portrait Gallery, we still have a long way to go to meet what we've declared in our strategic plan, is that we would like to have a workforce that on all of our public-facing and general administrative roles matched the profile of London and the South East, which is where we draw our workforce from. It will all take time, but I don't think we lack determination to make the change. Who works for us and who we work with is crucial. It is about who are the different range of people who make up Britain. We want that diversity. At the heart of it, we know that it's a better portrait gallery if we've got a really wide range of people who are creating something for the public, for the nation.